Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. Twentysomething Anna leaves her small transphobic hometown to start a new life in the city with her sister when she quickly finds herself face to face with Jen, a confident young woman she'd first seen in visions. Jen, Anna learns, has supernatural powers that the two of them share. Their bond of magic and romance is threatened when Jen inadvertently unleashes a demon. The film is called The Serpent's Skin, and we're joined today by the director as well as co-writer and co-producer, Maio Mackay. Alice, welcome to Cinemophile.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think one of the things I appreciate about the way that you were able to construct this film, you have a number of different stories going on, a number of different tracks you're on in describing and telling this story. Let's start with the inspiration for The Serpent's Skin.
Well, I think I wanted to do something a little bit different from my previous work, and I grew up like watching shows like Charmed and like Buffy and like movies like The Craft. So I kind of wanted to pay homage to that, but kind of take some like the queer subtext and characters from those kinds of films and make that the text and kind of do something also like akin to like the books that I read growing up. I like remember reading Twilight and like all those like supernatural romances and like beautiful creatures and things like that. So I kind of wanted to take those like two things that were kind of like my comfort books and like TV shows growing up and make something through like the lens of those things.
Yeah, I can definitely. Did you say Buffy, right? You said mentioned Buffy the
Yeah.
Vampire. Yeah, I definitely see that in this film. I mean, sort of in the context of what you were creating here. What was the most important thing that you were wanted to give in terms of Anna's character? Like, what was it that you felt was the key to unlocking her character?
I think her vulnerability, I think, was like a big
Hmm.
factor. I mean, like, like she starts off like shy and reserved and she kind of like maintains that kind of throughout the film. But I think it's kind of her opening up to like Jen and just like throughout the film, it's like she grows in like confidence. And it's kind of, I guess we're looking at the trauma of these two women from like different sides of the world and like, how their like trauma and like their inner demons kind of like bring them together and they're able to like overcome that with their love.
Now, obviously, the success of the film, in my mind, rests on Alexandra McVicker as well as Avalon Fast in terms of their relationship and how that evolves and the comfort level, which I think really happens pretty quickly in terms of their characters. They become very comfortable with one another, they trust one another. And there is this kind of supernatural sort of vibe that they have that they've known each other from before. But I thought they did a wonderful job in terms of just making that, this, to me, the central part of the story. It was that relationship. Let's talk a little bit about Avalon Fast and her portrayal of Jen.
Yeah, I feel like I was really lucky with both the cast. I mean, we shot the film in like such a short amount of time. And like Alex, who played Anna, she arrived like the day before shooting. And I'm kind of lucky that they just like really trusted each other and trusted the cast and other crew and just like the process of it. They'd had like a few Zoom meetings before with like the intimacy coordinator. But yeah, I feel like I'm just lucky in the sense they were both really amazing actors and kind of the story like spoke to them individually.
So let's talk about the general outline of the story. What city are we in? I've forgotten.
It's kind of like a nondescript city.
Okay.
So it's like
That's why I couldn't
wherever you want it to
remember.
be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does, I don't, wouldn't call it a New York vibe, but it definitely it almost feels like
Yeah,
a Seattle vibe to me, a little more than a New
sure.
York. Is that a fair way to put it? And there's a scene, and they're in the scene, and that's another thing about the film. I mean, it's obviously you didn't have a huge budget to create, sets and that kind of thing. But I thought your ability to pull us into this world that they are living in, and it's a world of young people, obviously, and the scene, if you will. But I thought your abilities in or the secondary characters in the film, they all add there's a comedic touch to some of them, and there's others that are more foreboding. And I just think that tell me a little bit about your aesthetic, if you will, in terms of creating the look and the feel, because it's a very much a DIY kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like working with like such a limited budget, you kind of just like have to know what you want the film to be from the get-go, and everyone has to kind of like be on that same page and that same level in creating the aesthetic. I mean, it like does draw like from the 90s and like early aughts, but it's like
Yeah.
not really set in a descript like time zone or like time setting or time place. So I kind of like it existing in this different world to kind of create the almost like fairy tale like atmosphere and like the supernatural romance of it all gives us like this greater spectrum that it is. I mean, we've got like Australian actors, we've got American actors, and it kind of it doesn't really matter because it's just to me, it's almost this completely like different world. Like it's so far, it's like reality, but it also it isn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. It is just removed enough from reality, from what we assume to be our reality, that it that's a trick. That's a good thing to be able to sort of give the audience that opportunity to follow you into that space. And I thought that's another thing about the film that you created what I would call the rationale to believe what we're seeing on screen in ways that are feasible for the audience, and because it's incremental. I think that what you did was, in my mind, you bring us along, and then we make the leap. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You are, how many films are, you're 3 or 4 films into your filmography now, right? How many
This
have
is
you?
my sixth feature, actually.
Six. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, sixth feature.
that's okay.
Yeah, and let's mention a couple of the other ones. So Vam, Girl Boogie, and T blockers and Satranic Panic. I don't know. Love the title.
Thank you.
Yeah, and others. I know Carnage for Christmas. And another thing about this film, in addition to the scene, the queer scene, and we're seeing a lot of different variations of the different people that are in the scene, but also you've been able to attract a lot of other talented people to your projects. Vera Drake, who I remember from The People's Joker, Louis Weird. Am I saying that correct? Louis?
Yeah, Louise Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the others. So, what has that meant to you in terms of your filmmaking, sort of as a sort of validation of what you're doing, or just a collaborative effort? How does that play out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a really special process. I mean, I was like fans of like their work individually, even like the color grader, she's a director in her own right. So I think being connected to these people was already like so beautiful, but then getting to like make a film and share the vision and like utilizing all the like different talents to kind of create my vision and bring it to life. Yeah, it was really meaningful.
Yeah, it really seems like. Well, I want to let people know before we get any further along that 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 Serpent. Let me start over. That Serpent Skin is going to be opening on the West Coast here in California on April 2nd in San Francisco at the Roxy, as well as here in Los Angeles on April 3rd at the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. That's in downtown Los Angeles, and a bunch of other places. It really is opening. Oh, the Vidiot's as well on the 4th. Are you there in town for a Q&A as well?
Yeah, I'm there on the, I think the fourth and fifth for Q&A, the one at Vidiots and also like the one at Alamo.
I was lucky enough to have Jane Schoenbrun on for We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Oh,
What
cool.
what sort of yeah, it was great. I was really it was really one of those films you go, wow, this is somebody who knows what they want to do. And tell me a little bit about the impact that Jane has had on you and as a filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was really lucky to be on set for the latest film, Camp Miasma, and kind of just like shadow them throughout the process. And I mean, they're just such a generous and beautiful soul. And I think creatively they just like they know what they want and they know how to like collaborate like with all the best people and really elevate and bring to life their vision. And especially it was really kind of refreshing seeing, a trans person work with like a larger kind of like studio budget and still kind of have their vision intact and not have to like sacrifice any of their like artistic integrity. Yeah, and just like getting to know them as a friend has been so special and just really inspiring.
Yeah, when I was reading up on the film and about you, the sense I got was this sense of community that sort of building upon sort of building blocks, if you will, of people who've gone before you to do the kind of work that you're doing, and that seems like that's the vibe that I'm getting from your work as well as the others that we see in the film and others, I'm sure. So. That must be very gratifying to find this space and be able to kind of create an environment for you, an ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, I think also like being a trans filmmaker can sometimes feel a little isolating, and especially like coming from Australia, there's not like a big scene over there. So I think, connecting with like Vera and Louise and Jane it's been really nice to like not feel so alone, even though we like might make completely different films and like different genres. It's kind of nice to be like in the same like sphere together.
Yeah, living in a very transphobic world, are you, in terms of reaction to your work, or in particular, this one, Serpent Skin, what are you seeing in terms of people's reaction to it? Because haven't really emphasized this enough. The acting is terrific in the film. I mean, everyone is really good in their lane if they're in their role. So, just curious, the reaction you're getting. Do you feel like there's an acceptance, or how would you characterize it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at the moment, the film hasn't like hit a wider release, so like it's been playing like a lot of like queer film festivals and like genre-specific film festivals. So I
Yeah,
kind of been lucky in that sense that, the people that it has reached or who have seen it have kind of been in the community or like an ally to the community. So,
yeah,
usually, when the film, hits kind of VOD or something, you start to see kind of the transphobia kind of creep in a little bit. But
yeah.
at the moment, I've been really lucky to have such a great response.
Well, again, everything I've seen in this film and read about your work is that you're building yourself quite a good base to build on, to continue to build on and tell the stories that you want to tell and to find the space and be able to find the audience as we move through our tortured civilization. I do sense, I hope, that there's more acceptance of all kinds of stories, no matter where they're coming from, and because we have the shared humanity, and if we can't get past that, I don't know what we can what hope we have for each other, but I really appreciate the film. I thought you did a great job, and it's fun, funny, scary, and loving as well. There's a real sense of bonding and love for one another in the film. So congratulations on your work.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Film is called Serpent Skin. We've been speaking with the director Alice Mayo Mackay.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.